In this video, I'll reflect on the communication strategies and resources I used in two Year 8 Humanities lessons. The first lesson focused on building student research skills, while the second used explicit teaching to explore the impacts of European colonisation on Aboriginal peoples. At the start of both lessons, I used clear verbal behavioural management strategies, including a call to attention, to settle the class and signal that learning was beginning. Establishing this calm and structured tone at the outset is important, as it helps students regulate and reorient to learning. To build on what students already knew, I called on prior knowledge through a brief recap of our previous work on summarising. I posed simple questions and used cold calling with deliberate wait time. This gave all students a chance to think and prepare in line with cognitive load theory, which warns against overloading working memory during new instruction. This technique also increases accountability and engagement, ensuring that every student is prepared to contribute. In both lessons, questioning was an essential communication strategy. I used a mix of closed questions to check factual understanding and open-ended questions to encourage deeper thinking. One of my core strategies was explicit teaching, particularly when breaking down the research learning intention, which was to develop research skills by finding, assessing, and summarising reliable information. Using a model of explicit instruction, I broke down each of the key skills with student-friendly explanations and concrete examples. I supported these concepts with visual slides and handouts that students could refer back to, scaffolding learning and providing support for students with literacy challenges. In the second video, I built on the foundation. The learning intention was to understand and explain the impacts of European colonisation on the Aboriginal peoples. I began by acknowledging student progress from the previous lesson, and I noted their effort. Recognising progress is a form of positive reinforcement, which research shows improves student motivation and task completion. I then introduced new content explicitly. I presented key impacts of colonisation and provided elaborations on these impacts. To encourage critical thinking and to build communication skills, I used a think, pair, share task. Students were asked to imagine being forced to leave their home and how this would feel. They shared ideas with a partner before contributing to a whole class discussion. This collaborative strategy is particularly effective in inclusive classrooms because it gives students time to rehearse their responses, helping those who are less confident. I followed this then with a short online quiz, which acted as a low-stakes, gamified assessment. This was designed to reinforce learning and give students immediate feedback. In both lessons, I used formative assessment strategies to guide my teaching. The Hand of Five strategy at the start of the second lesson asked students to self-rate their confidence in their understanding. I then noted these responses and followed up with students who indicated low confidence. This information would inform my planning for the next lesson and supported responsive teaching. Across both lessons, my communication strategies, explicit modelling, questioning, cold calling, and formative assessment were intentionally chosen to support all learners. It's grounded in theory and aligned with the Victorian curriculum's goals of developing literacy, critical thinking, and historical inquiry in humanities. By integrating these strategies with accessible resources, scaffolded instruction, and varied opportunities to demonstrate understanding, I supported students in engaging meaningfully with complex historical content. In planning and delivering my 2 Year 8 humanities lessons, one on research skills and the other on impacts of European colonisation, I implemented a range of strategies to support students from diverse backgrounds, with a particular focus on backgrounds relevant to my school, which are students with learning disabilities and those from low socioeconomic backgrounds. These adjustments were made to improve participation and to improve student learning outcomes through modification of content, process, product, and learning environment. Some students in the class presented with barriers to learning, including working memory difficulties, language processing issues, and low confidence in independent tasks. To address this, I used explicit instruction, breaking down complex tasks into smaller components. For example, in the research lesson, I explicitly unpacked the learning intention, and each verb was defined in student-friendly terms and supported by modelling and visual examples. So adjustments to content, process, product, and environment. So for content, information was presented in simplified language, using short, direct instructions, and scaffolding using handouts and visuals to support comprehension. For process, I use strategies such as cold calling with wait time and think, pair, share to encourage participation while minimizing pressure. These strategies also supported students with processing delays or low confidence. Students were given multiple ways to engage with the product, with the content, and to show their learning. So via verbal responses, via their notes, and their participation in discussions, comprehension discussions, and online quizzes. And my learning environment, I used a consistent routine with a call to attention to manage behaviour, establish a calm atmosphere, and create predictability for students who may benefit from the structure. A significant focus of both lessons was on developing literacy, especially around historical language and academic language. Students practiced summarizing and paraphrasing text previously with explicit strategies, and then I supported them with sentence starters provided on a handout to support expression. They also learned how to identify reliable sources, a skill linked to both critical literacy and historical inquiry as per the Victorian curriculum. For example, students were shown how to summarize a paragraph and by identifying the main idea and rewriting it in their own words. This activity supported reading comprehension and written communication. For my reflection and learning and future growth, from this task, I've learned the value of clear, inclusive communication, supported by structure, modelling, and formative assessment. My strategies were aimed to help build confidence, particularly for students who may struggle with literacy or require additional scaffolding. In the future, I aim to further develop differentiated assessment tasks. I've noticed in my classroom that this is something that needs to be stronger, and this was shown in this activity, and will be a further goal for me to develop my differentiation skills. And furthermore, I would like to explore universal design by learning principles to guide my lesson planning. So I want my lessons to be proactive instead of reactive. This task has deepened my understanding of how targeted communication strategies and scaffolding can foster equitable and engaging learning environments. With continued improvement, continued reflection, and personal development, I hope to strengthen my skills, my ability, and to support the diverse range of learners in my future humanities classrooms. Thank you.